Before we dive in, I would like to issue a spoiler warning. The contents of this video will contain spoilers for the entirety of the Mission Yozakura family manga. If you are planning to go into the upcoming anime adaptation blind or are not caught up to the manga, please step away as I do not want to ruin this experience for you. Otherwise, thank you all for watching and enjoy. Hitsuji Gondaira, an author that I'm sure many of you all have not paid attention to until today. With many previous works such as Genjui Toteku, a one-shot, and Demon Prince Pearl's Diaries, a previous series, they have today landed with the success of Mission Yozakura Family. A hidden gem within Shonen Jump, not just in terms of story, but also when looking at the rapid artistic improvement. As I typically am hesitant to lay claims, Yozakura Family, in my opinion, is one of the fastest improving series when it comes to art in just barely over 200 chapters in recent years. While you can split the story into 3 main acts, the improvements are so quick and steady that it barely takes no longer than Act 1 to see how things shape in preparation for the long term. When looking at the previous works, you can see many details being applied to the characters within Mission Yozakura Family and evolved upon. Within the one-shot, for example, the doctor character Toteku is easily a reference towards Shinzo and Taiyo, with the personality, face, and build very much like Taiyo and the hair similar to that of Shinzo. The werewolf character can also give off similarities to the pet of the Yozakuras named Goliath. Demon Prince Pearl also had plentiful showcases of the chibi-like humor and expressions that is pretty common within the series as well. As I have come to see some of the highest people of talent such as Kohei Horikoshi and My Hero Academia, there were some aspects to look out for, especially with the abundance of characters within the Yozakura family. Notably, the quality of shading and highlights, as well as the level of detail within everyone's attire and models improving over time. Within the first few chapters, all character designs were pretty simple and accomplished their goal. Slim body types overall, with a variety of personalities that are met with a variety of different attire as you are introduced to these family members that wear who they are in terms of their traits. The one that stuck out the most being Futaba in her Lalita fashion with swirly pigtails, which she takes into combat, mind you. Taiyo slowly adjusting into the spy world can also be paced alongside Gondaira settling into the motions of the series. The character designs quickly having some adjustments in a span of just a few volumes building up to the first series at conclusion. Most notably, around the 30 and 40 chapter range is when you really see it take place with Taiyo as his build and facial structure become pretty set for the long term. When you get the close-up shots and the more intimate moments, you can see that slim lanky build quickly becoming defined, reflecting his training and growth. The backbone of this manga is the concept of family, and while the action holds up well on its own, the character writing and interactions among them are where the art really shines to get the audience connected. If there's 2 factors that Gondaira toggles on to help elevate those moments, it's the shading and highlights depending on the type of background used. You can see the highlights being present in many occasions within the beginning in the character's hair, but over time they become more polished as the characters enter a more stylish form of themselves. Across many spreads, you come to see a common trend with a lot of the backgrounds being a mix of white with a bit of shade. Many times towards the top or corners of those spreads, there are a lack of lines that give you the impression of a soft area radiating a form of light or bright aura. There are also times where these sort of cozy particles are drawn to further enhance the emotional spreads. It allows you to feel the warmth of the moment, and I can imagine that for the animators, they'll have something to take advantage of when it comes to the presentation of the anime. Alongside this, the character art is shaded so thoroughly that it sticks out. The lack of a detailed background allows there to be a sense of focus on the character interaction in the moment, and you tend to be met with nicely shaded close-ups and details on the character alongside the highlights within their hair. You can imagine that those soft areas radiating on the spread could be a form of light or gleam reflecting off the hair, really allowing the art to shine in more ways than one. There's a lot of consistent focus on these types of moments throughout the story, and as I mentioned earlier, the appearance in terms of detail and attire are some of Gondaira's strong suits when it comes to focus and making sure it delivers. From thoroughly drawn hair to wrinkles on clothing, you're able to get it all very vividly. This manages to carry over into the combat of the series, especially when it comes to how the fights are staged. Unlike stories like JJK or My Hero Academia, Yozakura Family's fights aren't ones that typically last a bunch of chapters, nor are they ones that move all over an area. They're typically standoffish, and as such invites a lot of powerful moves and finishing abilities to take the stage. Each character having different fighting styles, and as such allows Gondaira to continue experimenting with the white or black background met with shading and outlining depending on which color is used. Taiyo primarily using his Yae is typically typically met with speed lines and a vacuum-like formation, giving you the perception of a target being cut through. In the beginning, there were plenty of sketchy type panels, but as Taiyo got adjusted and was able to deliver bigger scaled attacks, that also set up Gondaira to go for quicker fights with powerful blows depicted in spreads. Futaba can be seen with white backgrounds that focus on her abilities being a calm and yet violent storm when looking at the deflective and destructive feedback her opponents are met with, such as vibrations rupturing throughout one's body. With these two in particular, there are many times where the impact of a hit can really feel powerful, and other times a sense of speed and force met with thin lines or waves alongside a slight blur that shows the recoil or impact within an opponent. There are also moments where there is a bit of creativity, as knowing Kyoichiro's wires can just cut about anything also means the page can be sliced up as well. It's worth mentioning that Gondaira doesn't slack off when it comes to the art pertaining to the Japanese cultural aspects either. Yozakura translates to viewing cherry blossoms at night, and as we know that cherry blossoms tend to bloom in spring, it serves as a huge detail within the series when it comes to the blooming. These are the power-ups bestowed upon those who have the blood of the Yozakura family within them and can be recognized by a glowing cherry blossom flower located within an eye's iris. It's one aspect of the character design that Gondaira also makes similar to each other visually, especially in the close-up shots. In the beginning, there were a lot of different eye shapes and pupil styles, and as time went on leading up to the blooming debut, you can understand why it's modeled similar, as they all have the same effect, and considering they are siblings, it would look off if there wasn't some form of consistency established among them. This isn't to say that the characters look the same, but rather the same style is being applied to everyone. The blooming out heart represents one's personality, and as such allows a bit more expressiveness from the character during their reveals. Some getting momentary design adjustments, and others just radiating what they do best, and those personal shots upheld by Gondaira's detail really sell the moment. At a later point of the story, the blooming does take a more outward appearance with literal cherry blossoms on the body, and even the flowers are drawn quite thoroughly along the character. There is a lot of emphasis within the closer and personal shots, and it goes to show that this is the one aspect Gondaira can toggle on, similar to how Horikoshi's toggle is fixated upon hands, for example. The characters really make this story, and ensuring they look the best they can be is a clear priority, hence the rapid evolution. Throughout Act 1 and 2, you see all of these things being refined and polished, and you recognize when Gondaira was in their groove. It was only till Act 3 began that they added some new adjustments to that with a 5-year time skip. While still maintaining the best aspects of character detail, there also naturally came some fresh attire, and some characters like Kyoichiro and Taiyo looking much older and mature. Not to mention, the introduction of the series' final antagonist really brought out some of the more exaggerative style of art upon their introduction. Considering one of Gondaira's favorite series is Hunter x Hunter, this seems like something that could come straight from it, offering a more unsettling vibe than anything the series has offered before. From just looking at the first 2 volumes, you can really see the quickly improved upon differences along the covers, and at this point, this series more than deserves its flowers. As the anime is around the corner too, you can also tell by the character sheets that they're taking into account of that evolution, and I can't wait to see what they manage to elevate. Otherwise, that's pretty much it from me. As this is my first time talking about manga art in this manner, I didn't expect this to come out perfect, and by all means, please feel free to provide constructive feedback so I may attempt this again someday. Stay safe and warm out there, and I will catch you all in the next video.